Chapter 1. The Invitation to Blackthorn Hall. The autumn rain pattered softly against the windows of Hercule Poirot's London flat, a gentle rhythm that did little to disturb the meticulous order within. The fire crackled in the grate, casting a warm glow over the polished mahogany desk where Poirot sat, his small, precise hand sorting through a pile of correspondence. His friend, Captain Arthur Hastings, lounged in an armchair, a newspaper folded across his lap, his brow furrowed in mild boredom. "Mon ami," Poirot said, his voice crisp as he held up a cream-coloured envelope. "What do you make of this? It is not often that Hercule Poirot receives a summons so intriguant." Hastings perked up, grateful for the distraction. "A summons, eh? Who's it from? Another distressed duchess, or a politician in a pickle?" Poirot's moustache twitched with amusement as he slit the envelope with a silver letter-opener. "Neither, Hastings. Observe." He extracted a single sheet of heavy paper, embossed with a curious symbol, a compass and square intertwined with a serpent. Below it, in elegant script, was written, "Mr. Hercule Poirot, you are cordially invited to attend a gathering at Blackthorn Hall, Wiltshire, on the evening of October 12th, 1934. Your presence is requested not as a guest, but as one whose singular talents may illuminate matters of great import to our order. Discretion is paramount. Yours in fellowship, Sir Reginald Thornhill, Master of the Lodge Poirots." Green eyes gleamed as he handed the letter to Hastings. "The order, Hastings. This is no ordinary invitation. The symbol, it is Masonic, n'est-ce pas?" Hastings squinted at the paper, his face a mask of curiosity. "Masons, you say? Secret societies and all that? Sounds a bit cloak and dagger for you, Poirot. What do they want with a detective?" "Précisément," Poirot murmured, tapping his fingers together. "Why does a brotherhood, so guarded in its rituals, seek the services of Hercule Poirot? There is a mystery here, my friend, a shadow behind the words, and Poirot, he does not resist the call of a mystery." Hastings leaned forward, his enthusiasm growing. "Are you going, then, to this Blackthorn Hall?" Poirot rose, adjusting his impeccable waistcoat. "But of course, the little grey cells, they are already stirring. We shall depart tomorrow, Hastings. You will accompany me, yes?" "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Hastings replied with a grin. "But I say, Poirot, these Masonic chaps, they're a secretive lot. What if it's some sort of trap?" Poirot's smile was serene, but his eyes held a glint of steel. "A trap, Hastings? Then it is they who should beware, for Hercule Poirot is not so easily ensnared. Now to the preparations. We must ensure the moustache is parfait for such an occasion." The next morning, Poirot and Hastings boarded a train bound for Wiltshire. The countryside rolled past in a blur of golden fields and mist-shrouded hills, but Poirot's mind was elsewhere, turning over the sparse details of the invitation. Blackthorn Hall, he had learned, was an ancient manor, home to Sir Reginald Thornhill, a baronet of considerable wealth and a prominent figure in Masonic circles. Yet the letter's tone, urgent yet veiled, suggested something amiss, something that required Poirot's singular talents. As the train rattled on, Hastings broke the silence. "I looked up this Thornhill fellow in the club's copy of Who's Who. Bit of a recluse, it seems. Inherited the Hall from his father, who was also a Mason. There's talk of old family scandals, though. Something about a missing fortune tied to the lodge. Think that's what this is about?" Poirot tilted his head, considering. "A missing fortune? It's possible. But the little grey cells, they whisper of something deeper. The Masons, they guard their secrets well, but secrets, Hastings, have a way of casting shadows, and where there are shadows, there is often deceit. The train slowed as they approached the small station of Thornhill Vale. A chauffeur in a dark livery awaited them, his face impassive, as he led them to a gleaming Rolls-Royce. The drive to Blackthorn Hall was silent, the road winding through dense woods until the manor emerged, a sprawling edifice of grey stone, its towers clawing at the overcast sky. Gargoyles leered from the eaves, and the windows glowed faintly, as if reluctant to reveal the secrets within. As they stepped into the grand foyer, a tall, gaunt man approached, his silver hair gleaming under the chandelier. "Mr. Poirot, Captain Hastings," he said, his voice smooth but tinged with strain. "I am Sir Reginald Thornhill. Welcome to Blackthorn Hall. I trust your journey was pleasant." "Most agreeable, Sir Reginald," Poirot replied, his eyes scanning the man's face, lined with worry. "Despite the courteous smile, but I confess I am most curious as to why you have summoned me." Sir Reginald's smile faltered. "All in good time, Mr. Poirot. Tonight we hold a ceremonial gathering of our lodge. You will meet the others, men of influence, bound by our sacred oaths. But I must warn you, there are tensions among us. I fear something is afoot, something that threatens the very heart of our order." Poirot's moustache twitched. "And you believe, perhaps, that Hercule Poirot can illuminate these shadows?" "I do," Sir Reginald said gravely, "for I fear they may consume us all." As the baronet led them toward the guest quarters, Poirot's mind buzzed with questions. The hall, the symbol, the urgency of the invitation. What lay hidden in the heart of Blackthorn Hall? The little grey cells were already at work, and Poirot knew that before the night was out, the first threads of the mystery would begin to unravel. "Hey, detective, quick question. Where in the world are you solving mysteries from? Drop your city in the comments. And if you want more twisted tales, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow's case, it gets even creepier. Stay sharp." Chapter 2. The Gathering of the Order. The great hall of Blackthorn Hall was a study in grandeur and shadow. Its high vaulted ceiling disappeared into gloom, and the walls were adorned with portraits of stern-faced men, their eyes seeming to follow Hercule Poirot and Captain Hastings as they entered. A massive oak table dominated the centre, set for a formal dinner, its silver gleaming under the flickering light of a chandelier. The air carried the faint scent of wax and old wood, mingling with an undercurrent of unease. Sir Reginald Thornhill stood at the head of the table, his posture rigid as he greeted the assembled guests. "My brothers of the order, and our honoured guests, Mr. Hercule Poirot and Captain Hastings," he announced, his voice echoing slightly. "Tonight, we gather not only for our sacred rites, but to address matters that concern us all. Let us dine, and then we shall proceed to the lodge." Poirot, seated to Sir Reginald's right, observed the company with his usual precision. Hastings, to his left, whispered, "Quite a crowd, Poirot. Looks like a who's who of the county." "Indeed, Hastings," Poirot murmured, his green eyes darting from face to face. "But observe, mon ami, the faces, they betray more than their owners intend." Across the table sat Lord Archibald Vance, a florid-faced man in his 50s, his Masonic apron adorned with intricate embroidery. His booming laugh filled the room, but his eyes flicked nervously towards Sir Reginald. To his left was Dr. Evelyn Marwood, a rare female member of the lodge's auxiliary circle, her sharp features and cool demeanour suggesting a mind as precise as Poirot's own. She toyed with her wine-glass, her gaze distant. Next to her was Mr. Leonard Grayson, a wiry solicitor with a pinched expression, his fingers drumming an impatient rhythm on the tablecloth. Beside him sat Captain Rupert Blake, a retired naval officer whose weathered face and stiff posture spoke of a life of discipline, though his clenched jaw hinted at suppressed anger. Finally, there was Miss Clara Henshaw, a young heiress and ward of Sir Reginald, her delicate beauty marred by a nervous habit of twisting her napkin. As the first course, a rich consommé was served. Sir Reginald cleared his throat. "Mr. Poirot, you must understand the significance of our gathering. The Order of the Silver Compass, to which we all belong, has guarded certain traditions for centuries. But recently there have been disturbances, letters, anonymous and threatening, hinting at secrets best left buried." Poirot's moustache twitched. "Secrets, Sir Reginald? Of what nature, if I may inquire?" Sir Reginald hesitated, glancing at his fellow masons. "It is delicate. Matters of the lodge are not lightly shared. But the letters speak of a betrayal within our ranks, and they bear a symbol, a serpent entwined with a compass, much like the one on your invitation." Lord Vance snorted, his jowls quivering. "Poppycock, some prankster with too much time on his hands. We've no need for outsiders poking into our affairs, Thornhill." Dr. Marwood's lips curved into a faint smile. "And yet, Lord Vance, you were quick to vote for Mr. Poirot's invitation, afraid of what those letters might reveal." Vance's face reddened, but before he could retort, Captain Blake cut in, his voice low and clipped. "Enough! If there's a traitor among us, let's have it out in the lodge, not at dinner like squabbling children." Miss Henshaw's voice, soft but trembling, broke the tension. I don't understand why anyone would threaten us. The Order has always been about charity, hasn't it? Helping the community." Grayson's eyes narrowed. "Charity, Miss Henshaw, or control? Some say the Order's wealth is tied to less noble pursuits." The room fell silent, the clink of cutlery the only sound. Poirot leaned forward, his voice smooth as velvet. "Messieurs et mesdames, it is clear there is discord among you. But tell me, what is this wealth of which you speak? A fortune, perhaps, hidden in the shadows of Blackthorn Hall?" Sir Reginald's hand tightened around his glass. "An old legend, Mr. Poirot. They say the founders of our lodge concealed a treasure, a cachet of gold and jewels within these walls, to be used only in times of great need. But it's a myth, nothing more. A myth that draws anonymous threats." Poirot's tone was mild, but his eyes gleamed. "Curieux, n'est-ce pas?" Dinner concluded in strained silence, and the party adjourned to the lodge chamber, a cavernous room beneath the hall, accessible only through a hidden stair. The chamber was lit by torches, their flames casting eerie shadows on stone walls carved with Masonic symbols. A raised altar stood at the center, draped in black velvet, flanked by 2 bronze candelabra. As the brethren donned their ceremonial aprons, Poirot whispered to Hastings, "Observe, my friend, the ritual, it is a facade. The true drama lies in their eyes, their gestures. Someone here knows more than they say." The ceremony began, a solemn recitation of oaths and ancient rites. Sir Reginald, as master, led the proceedings, his voice steady but strained. Poirot's attention, however, was drawn to Miss Henshaw, who stood apart, her face pale as she clutched a small prayer-book. Grayson's gaze lingered on her, while Blake's hands flexed at his sides as if restraining some impulse. Halfway through the ritual, a low guttural sound echoed through the chamber. A groan, or perhaps a laugh. The torches flickered, and all eyes turned to the altar. There, scrawled in white chalk across the velvet, was a symbol, a serpent entwined with a compass, its lines stark and menacing. Miss Henshaw gasped, dropping her book. Lord Vance swore under his breath, and Dr. Marwood's eyes narrowed to slits. Sir Reginald's face drained of colour. This is sacrilege," he stammered. Poirot stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "Sacrilege, Sir Reginald? Or a message? Hercule Poirot suggests that someone in this room has much to explain." As the brethren exchanged wary glances, the air grew thick with suspicion. The shadows of Blackthorn Hall had begun to speak, and Poirot's little grey cells were already weaving their web. Chapter 3. The Ritual Interrupted. The lodge chamber of Blackthorn Hall was frozen in a tableau of shock, the flickering torchlight casting long shadows that danced across the stone walls. The chalk-drawn symbol, a serpent entwined with a compass, stared up from the velvet-draped altar, its stark lines a silent accusation. The brethren of the Order of the Silver Compass stood motionless, their ceremonial aprons forgotten, as Hercule Poirot stepped forward, his small, precise figure commanding the room. "Mon Dieu," Poirot murmured, his eyes fixed on the symbol. "This is no idle prank, mes amis. This market speaks of intent, of knowledge. Who among you placed it here?" A murmur rippled through the group, but no one spoke. Sir Reginald Thornhill, his face ashen, gripped the edge of the altar. "This is an outrage," he said, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. "The sanctity of our lodge defiled. Mr. Poirot, you must help us uncover the culprit." Poirot's moustache twitched as he surveyed the faces around him. "The culprit, Sir Reginald, is undoubtedly among us, but first let us examine this message." He knelt beside us. "Let us examine this message." He knelt beside the altar, his gloved fingers hovering over the chalk lines. "The serpent and the compass, it is the same as on your invitation, n'est-ce pas? Yet here it is drawn with haste, with passion. This is not the work of a calm hand." Captain Hastings, standing near the chamber's entrance, shifted uncomfortably. "I say, Poirot, it's dashed unsettling. Could it be one of those anonymous letters you mentioned, Sir Reginald? Someone playing a grim joke?" Lord Archibald Vance scoffed, his heavy jowls quivering. "A joke? This is no laughing matter, Captain. That symbol, it's tied to the old legends, the ones we don't speak of in polite company. The treasure, the betrayal." His voice trailed off as Dr. Evelyn Marwood shot him a sharp glance. "Legends, Lord Vance." Dr. Marwood's voice was cool, almost mocking. "You give too much credence to fairy tales. This is likely the work of someone with a grudge, someone who knows our rituals well enough to disrupt them." Mr. Leonard Grayson, the solicitor, adjusted his spectacles, his voice thin and precise. "Or someone who seeks to frighten us into revealing what we've sworn to protect. The Order's secrets are not for the faint of heart, Doctor." Marwood Miss Clara Henshaw, still pale from her earlier shock, clutched her recovered prayer book tightly. "Please," she whispered, "can we not continue the ritual? This feels wrong, dangerous." Captain Rupert Blake, his naval discipline evident in his rigid stance, shook his head. "No, Miss Henshaw, we cannot proceed with this desecration unresolved. Mr. Poirot, what do you propose?" Poirot rose, brushing imaginary dust from his impeccable suit. "I propose, Captain Blake, that we adjourn to a more comfortable setting. The lodge chamber, it is too charged with emotion. Let us return to the drawing-room, where the little grey cells may work in peace. But first—" He turned to Sir Reginald. "The chalk? It is not part of your ceremonial tools, I presume?" Sir Reginald shook his head. "No, Mr. Poirot. The altar is kept pristine, touched only by the master and the wardens. The chalk must have been brought in by whoever did this." "Précisément," Poirot said, his eyes narrowing. Then we must search for its source. Hastings, my friend, be so good as to examine the chamber's entrances. A piece of chalk, it does not appear by magic. As the group filed out of the lodge chamber, Hastings inspected the heavy oak door and the hidden stair. "Nothing out of the ordinary, Poirot," he reported. "The door was locked during the ritual, and the stairs the only way in or out. Whoever drew that symbol was already in the room." "Bien," Poirot said softly. "This narrows the field, does it not?" In the drawing-room, the atmosphere was no less tense. The fire roared, but its warmth did little to dispel the chill of suspicion. Poirot paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back as he addressed the group. "Let us consider the facts. The symbol was drawn during the ritual, when all were present. No one entered or left the chamber, yes? Therefore, the artist is among us, but why? To frighten, to warn, or to distract?" Lord Vance mopped his brow with a handkerchief. "Distract? From what, man? We're all here, aren't we?" "Are we?" Poirot's gaze swept the room, pausing on each face. "Sir Reginald, you mentioned anonymous letters. Have any of you received such missives?" A heavy silence followed. Finally, Dr. Marwood spoke, her voice measured. "I received one 3 days ago. It bore the same symbol and a warning. The serpent sees all. The truth will be uncovered. I thought it nonsense, but now—" She gestured toward the lodge chamber. Grayson cleared his throat. "I, too, received a letter. It accused me of disloyalty to the order. Preposterous, of course." Captain Blake's jaw tightened. "Mine spoke of justice for a forgotten wrong. I burned it. I've no patience for such games." Miss Henshaw's eyes widened. "I didn't receive a letter, but I found a note in my room this morning. It only said, 'Beware the shadow.' I thought it was a mistake." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "And you, Lord Vance?" "Sir Reginald?" Vance shifted, uncomfortably. "Nothing. I've had no such letters." Sir Reginald nodded. "Nor I, though I've heard whispers of their existence. This is why I called for you, Mr. Poirot. The order is fracturing, and I fear what may come next." Poirot stopped pacing, his voice soft but piercing. "What comes next, mes amis, is that Hercule Poirot will uncover the truth. The symbol, the letters, the note, they are threads in a tapestry of deceit. But the little grey cells, they are patient. They will weave these threads together." As the group dispersed to their quarters, Hastings leaned close to Poirot. "Dash it all, Poirot, this is getting murkier by the minute. Do you think the treasure's real? Could someone be after it?" Poirot's smile was enigmatic. "The treasure, Hastings, may be real, or it may be a lure. But the true treasure is the motive behind this act, and that, mon ami, is what we must find." Outside, the rain had intensified, hammering against the windows of Blackthorn Hall. In the distance, a faint creak echoed through the corridors, as if the house itself were whispering its secrets. Poirot's eyes narrowed. The shadows were growing longer, and the mystery was only beginning to unfold. Chapter 4. Whispers of Betrayal. The drawing-room of Blackthorn Hall glowed with the soft light of oil lamps, their flames casting wavering shadows on the oak-panelled walls. Hercule Poirot stood by the fireplace, his small, immaculate figure a stark contrast to the heavy grandeur of the room. His green eyes, sharp as ever, moved from one face to another, as the members of the Order of the Silver Compass sat in uneasy silence, their earlier camaraderie replaced by a palpable tension. Captain Hastings, seated in a corner with a notebook balanced on his knee, whispered, "I say, Poirot, they're all on edge. That symbol's got them rattled." "Précisément, Hastings," Poirot replied softly, his moustache twitching. "The symbol, it is a spark that has ignited fear. But fear, mon ami, reveals the truth where words may lie. Let us begin." Poirot turned to the group, his voice calm but commanding. Messieurs et mesdames, the defilement of your order is no mere act of mischief. It is a calculated gesture tied to the anonymous letters you have received. I, Hercule Poirot, will uncover the author of this act, but I require your candor. Let us start with you, Sir Reginald. Why invite an outsider to your sacred lodge? Sir Reginald Thornhill, seated in a high-backed chair, shifted uncomfortably. As I said, Mr. Poirot, the letters, they suggested a threat from within. I've led this lodge for 20 years, and never have we faced such discord. I thought your reputation for discretion and deduction might preserve our order. Order. Poirot's eyes narrowed. And yet you did not receive a letter yourself. Curious, is it not? Perhaps the master of the lodge is above suspicion, or perhaps he is the target. Lord Archibald Vance snorted, his ruddy face flushed from the brandy he clutched. Target? Nonsense! This is all a storm in a teacup. Some disgruntled servant, no doubt, scribbling symbols to stir trouble. Dr. Evelyn Marwood's lips curled into a faint sardonic smile. A servant, Lord Vance, with access to our locked lodge chamber. You underestimate the cunning required. Or perhaps you wish to divert attention from your own indiscretions. Vance's eyes bulged. Indiscretions? How dare you, madam? My loyalty to the order is unquestioned. Is it? Mr. Leonard Grayson, the solicitor, spoke in his usual clipped tone, his spectacles glinting in the lamplight. There are rumors, Lord Vance, of your financial troubles. Debts, they say, that the order's supposed treasure might conveniently settle. Vance slammed his glass on the table. Slander. I'll not sit here and be accused by a jumped-up clerk. Enough! Captain Rupert Blake's voice cut through the room like a whip. The retired naval officer stood, his weathered hands clenched. This bickering serves no purpose. Mr. Poirot, ask your questions and be done with it. I've no patience for this squabbling. Poirot inclined his head. Merci, Captain Blake. Your discipline is admirable. Tell me, what did your letter mean by justice for a forgotten wrong? What wrong might this be? Blake's jaw tightened, and for a moment his eyes flickered with something, anger perhaps, or guilt. I've no idea, he said curtly. The past is past. I burned the letter and thought no more of it. Poirot turned to Miss Clara Henshaw, who sat quietly, her delicate hands folded in her lap. And you, mademoiselle. Your note, beware the shadow. It is different from the others, yes? Placed in your room, not mailed. Why do you think were you singled out? Clara's eyes widened, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, Mr. Poirot. I'm only Sir Reginald's ward, not a full member of the order. I attend the auxiliary meetings, but I know little of their secrets. Perhaps it was a mistake. Poirot's smile was gentle but probing. A mistake, mademoiselle? Or a warning from someone who knows your place in this house? You are, after all, the heiress to a considerable fortune, are you not? Clara blushed, glancing at Sir Reginald, who cleared his throat. Clara's inheritance is managed by the Order's trust, he said quickly. It's no secret, but it's irrelevant to this matter. Is it? Poirot's tone was mild, but his gaze was sharp. Money? It is often at the heart of betrayal. And betrayal, I sense, is the thread that binds these events. Dr. Marwood leaned forward, her cool demeanour unshaken. You speak of betrayal, Mr. Poirot, but you overlook ambition. The Order has influence, political, financial. Someone may seek to undermine it for their own gain. Poirot nodded thoughtfully. A valid point, Doctor. And you, with your scientific mind, have you enemies within the Order? Your letter spoke of the serpent seeing all. What does it see in you? Her smile was tight. Nothing I haven't earned. I've challenged the Order's outdated traditions, yes. Some resent a woman in their ranks, even as an auxiliary member. But I've no patience for superstition or symbols. Poirot paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. Bien. We have letters, a symbol, and a note. We have motives, debts, ambition, justice, perhaps fear. But there is one question that intrigues Hercule Poirot. Who among you was absent, even briefly, during the ritual? For the chalk, it was not on the altar when we entered. A heavy silence fell. Grayson adjusted his spectacles again. We were all present, Mr. Poirot. The ritual requires it. The lodge chamber is sealed during the ceremony. Sealed, yes, Poirot mused. Yet the symbol appeared. Someone moved swiftly, silently. Someone with opportunity. Hastings, unable to contain himself, blurted, "But Poirot, the door was locked. You heard me. No one came or went." Poirot's eyes gleamed. Locked doors, Hastings, are but a challenge to the cunning. And the little grey cells, they are already forming a pattern. As the group dispersed, Poirot lingered by the fireplace, his gaze fixed on the dying embers. Hastings approached, lowering his voice. "You're on to something, aren't you? That business about the ritual. Who do you suspect?" Poirot's smile was enigmatic. "Suspect, Hastings. I suspect everyone, and no one. But the whispers of betrayal, they grow louder. And soon, mon ami, they will reveal their source." Outside, a gust of wind rattled the windows, and a distant thud echoed through the hall. As if Blackthorn Hall itself were stirring, the mystery was deepening, and Poirot knew that the next revelation would bring them closer to the heart of the shadows. Chapter 5. The Vanishing Mason. The storm outside Blackthorn Hall had grown fiercer, its howling winds battering the ancient manor as if demanding entry. Inside, the drawing-room was a cocoon of uneasy quiet, the guests having retired to their quarters after Poirot's probing questions. Hercule Poirot sat by the fire, his small hands folded neatly, his eyes half closed in thought. Captain Hastings paced nearby, his restlessness a stark contrast to Poirot's calm. "I don't like it, Poirot," Hastings said, glancing at the darkened windows. "All this talk of betrayal and symbols, it's got everyone jumpy. And that symbol on the altar, it's as if someone's playing a deadly game." "Précisément, Hastings," Poirot replied, his voice soft but alert. "A game, yes, but one with rules we have yet to discern. The little grey cells, they sense a pattern, but it is incomplete. We must wait for the next move." The words had scarcely left his lips when a piercing scream shattered the silence, echoing through the corridors of Blackthorn Hall. Hastings froze, his hand instinctively reaching for a non-existent revolver. "Good Lord, Poirot, what was that?" Poirot was already on his feet, his expression sharp. "To the source, Hastings. The game, it has advanced." They followed the sound to the grand staircase, where Miss Clara Henshaw stood trembling, her face pale as moonlight. "It's Mr. Grayson," she stammered, pointing toward the upper landing. I saw him heading to his room, and then he's gone. His door was open, and there's no sign of him." Poirot's eyes narrowed as he ascended the stairs, Hastings and Clara trailing behind. The other guests emerged from their rooms, drawn by the commotion. Sir Reginald Thornhill, his face etched with worry. Dr. Evelyn Marwood, cool and composed. Lord Archibald Vance, blustering indignantly, and Captain Rupert Blake, his jaw set in grim determination. The group gathered outside Grayson's room, a sparsely furnished chamber with a four-poster bed, a writing desk, and a single window rattling in the storm. The bed was undisturbed, the desk bare save for a single fountain pen. Poirot's gaze swept the room, pausing on the floor, where a faint smudge of chalk dust marked the carpet near the door. "Mon Dieu," Poirot murmured, kneeling to examine the smudge. "The chalk, it follows us. Hastings, check the window." Hastings crossed the room and tugged at the window, which was securely latched from the inside. "Locked tight, Poirot. No one's come in or out this way." Sir Reginald wrung his hands. "This is madness. First the symbol, now Grayson vanishes. He was here, with us, not an hour ago." Dr. Marwood's voice was steady, almost clinical. "Perhaps he left of his own accord. Mr. Grayson was agitated during your questioning, Mr. Poirot. He may have fled." "Fled?" Lord Vance barked. "In this storm? The man's a solicitor, not a fugitive. Besides, where would he go? The nearest village is miles off." Captain Blake stepped forward, his eyes scanning the room. "If he didn't leave, then someone took him. The door wasn't forced, so he either opened it willingly or he trailed off, his gaze meeting Poirot's. Or someone had a key," Poirot finished, his tone thoughtful. "Sir Reginald, who has access to the keys of Blackthorn Hall?" Sir Reginald hesitated. "Only myself and the housekeeper, Mrs. Dunley. The guest rooms are locked each night, but the master key is kept in my study." "And where is Mrs. Dunley now?" Poirot asked. "She retired early," Clara said softly. "I saw her in the kitchen before dinner. She's not been well." Poirot nodded, his fingers brushing the chalk smudge. "Bien, we must speak with her. But first, let us search the house. A man does not vanish into the air, n'est-ce pas? Hastings, you and Captain Blake will check the ground floor. Dr. Marwood, Lord Vance, the upper rooms. Sir Reginald, Miss Henshaw, remain here with me." As the others dispersed, Poirot turned to Clara, his voice gentle. "Mademoiselle, you said you saw Mr. Grayson heading to his room. Was he alone?" Clara nodded, her eyes wide. "Yes, Mr. Poirot. He was walking quickly, looking over his shoulder. I thought he seemed frightened." "And you, Sir Reginald," Poirot continued, turning to the baronet. "Mr. Grayson accused Lord Vance of financial troubles. Was there truth to this? Or was Grayson himself entangled in matters of money?" Sir Reginald's face tightened. "Grayson managed the Order's trust, including Clara's inheritance. He was meticulous, but there were whispers of discrepancies in the accounts. Nothing proven, mind you." Poirot's moustache twitched. "Discrepancies, you say? A man with access to a fortune, real or mythical, might find himself tempted or threatened." A thorough search of Blackthorn Hall yielded no trace of Leonard Grayson. The ground floor was secure, its doors and windows locked against the storm. The upper rooms were empty, save for the guests' belongings. Mrs. Dunley, a frail woman with nervous eyes, confirmed that the master key remained in Sir Reginald's study, untouched. Yet Poirot's attention returned to the chalk smudge, a faint but persistent clue. As the group reconvened in the drawing-room, Poirot addressed them, his voice calm but commanding. "Messieurs et mesdames, Mr. Grayson's disappearance is no accident. The chalk dust in his room links it to the symbol on the altar. Someone in this house knows more than they admit. I urge you to speak now, before the shadows grow darker." Lord Vance mopped his brow. "This is preposterous. First symbols, now vanishings. What next? Ghosts?" Dr. Marwood's eyes flickered with amusement. "Ghosts, Lord Vance. Or guilt? Perhaps Mr. Grayson uncovered something he shouldn't have." Captain Blake's voice was low, almost a growl. "If he's been harmed, I'll have the truth, Poirot. The Order doesn't tolerate cowards who strike in the dark." Clara's voice trembled. "Please, Mr. Poirot, find him. He was kind to me, always. He doesn't deserve this." Poirot's gaze softened, but his mind was racing. "Fear not, mademoiselle. Hercule Poirot will find Mr. Grayson, or what became of him. The little grey cells, they are never idle." As the storm raged on, a faint creak echoed from the upper floors, unnoticed by all but Poirot. His eyes narrowed. The disappearance of Leonard Grayson was a new thread in the tapestry of deceit, and the shadows of Blackthorn Hall were closing in. Chapter 6. The Shadowed Past. The storm outside Blackthorn Hall showed no sign of abating, its relentless howl a fitting backdrop to the mounting unease within. Hercule Poirot stood in the library, a cavernous room lined with leather-bound tomes and faded tapestries, his small figure dwarfed by the towering shelves. Captain Hastings hovered nearby, flipping through a dusty volume on Masonic history, his brow furrowed. "Dash it, Poirot," Hastings said, closing the book with a thud. "Grayson vanishing like that. It's as if the house swallowed him whole. And all this talk of treasures and betrayals. Do you think there's something to it?" Poirot's green eyes gleamed in the lamplight. "Mon ami, a house does not swallow a man, but secrets they can consume. The disappearance of Mr. Grayson, the symbol, the letters, they are threads in a tapestry woven long ago. We must look to the past of Blackthorn Hall to understand the present." The library door creaked open, and Sir Reginald Thornhill entered, his face haggard. "Mr. Poirot, have you found anything? The others are beside themselves. Clara's near tears, and Vance is demanding we call the police." Poirot raised a hand. The police, Sir Reginald, would trample the delicate threads of this mystery. "No, Hercule Poirot will suffice, but I require information. Tell me of Blackthorn Hall, its history, its scandals. The Order of the Silver Compass. It is tied to this place, yes?" Sir Reginald sank into a chair, rubbing his temples. "Yes, the Order was founded here, over a century ago, by my great-grandfather, Sir Edmund Thornhill. The Hall was a centre of Masonic activity, a place of charity and fellowship, but there were rumours, even then, of a hidden treasure, a cache of gold and jewels amassed by the Order's founders, meant to secure its future." Poirot's moustache twitched. "And this treasure, it is the same spoken of in the legends Lord Vance mentioned?" "Sir Reginald Vance mentioned?" Sir Reginald nodded reluctantly. "The same. They say Sir Edmund concealed it somewhere within the hall, protected by a cipher known only to the masters of the lodge. But there was a scandal in his time, a betrayal. One of the lodge's founding members, a man named Jonathan Carver, was accused of stealing from the Order. He vanished, and the treasure was never found. Some say he took it, others that he was silenced to protect it." Hastings leaned forward, intrigued. "Silenced? You mean murdered?" Sir Reginald's eyes darkened. "No proof was ever found, Captain, but Carver's disappearance cast a shadow over the Order. His family was disgraced, his name struck from our records. The cipher, if it ever existed, was lost with him." Poirot paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. "C'est intéressant. A betrayal, a disappearance, and a treasure lost to time. And now a new disappearance, Mr. Grayson, who managed the Order's trust. Tell me, Sir Reginald, did Grayson know of this history?" "He did," Sir Reginald admitted. "As the Order's solicitor, he had access to our archives. He was curious about the old stories, always asking about the cipher. I thought it mere academic interest, Poirot mused, or something more. Let us examine these archives. There may be clues to Grayson's fate." Sir Reginald led them to a locked cabinet in the corner of the library, its brass fittings tarnished with age. He produced a key from his pocket and opened it, revealing a collection of ledgers, letters, and faded documents. Poirot's eyes scanned the shelves, pausing on a small leather-bound journal embossed with the serpent and compass symbol. "Voila!" Poirot said, lifting the journal with care. It is significant." He opened it, revealing pages filled with cryptic notations, numbers, symbols, and fragmented phrases in an elegant hand. The journal of Sir Edmund Thornhill, perhaps? Sir Reginald peered over his shoulder. "Yes, that's his writing. It's been here for decades, untouched. Grayson studied it once, but he said it was gibberish." Poirot's smile was enigmatic. "Gibberish to some, Sir Reginald, is clarity to Hercule Poirot. The little grey cells, they thrive on such puzzles." As Poirot leafed through the journal, the library door opened again, admitting Dr. Evelyn Marwood. Her sharp eyes took in the scene, lingering on the journal. "Found something, Mr. Poirot? Or are you chasing ghosts like the rest of us?" Poirot met her gaze, unperturbed. "Not ghosts, Doctor, but shadows. The past of Blackthorn Hall casts a long one. Tell me, what do you know of Jonathan Carver?" Dr. Marwood's expression tightened. "Only what the Order's records say. A traitor who betrayed his brothers. His disgrace is a cautionary tale for us all." "And yet," Poirot said softly, "someone uses his symbol, the serpent and compass, to unsettle you. Why, I wonder?" Before she could reply, a commotion erupted outside the library. Captain Rupert Blake burst in, his face grim. "Poirot, you'd better come quickly. We've found something in the cellar, something you need to see." Poirot closed the journal, tucking it under his arm. "Bien, lead the way, Captain." The cellar was accessed through a narrow stair behind the kitchen, its stone steps slick with damp. The air grew colder as they descended, the torchlight revealing a labyrinth of crates and barrels. Blake pointed to a corner where a heavy tarp had been pulled aside, exposing a small rusted iron door set into the wall. "It was hidden," Blake said, his voice low. "Vance found it while searching for Grayson. Look at this." He gestured to the door's surface, where a faint outline of the serpent and compass symbol was etched, barely visible in the dim light. Hastings whistled. "Another symbol? This is getting uncanny, Poirot." Poirot knelt, examining the door. Uncanny, perhaps, but not without purpose. "This door, it is old, older than the house's current occupants. Sir Reginald, do you know of it?" Sir Reginald shook his head, his face pale. "Number the cellar is used for storage, nothing more. I've never seen this door before." Poirot's fingers traced the symbol. "Secure here. A hidden door, a forgotten scandal, a missing man. The past, it is speaking to us, mes amis. But what does it say?" As they returned to the library, Poirot's mind churned. The journal, the symbol, the door, they were pieces of a puzzle, linked to the betrayal of Jonathan Carver and the disappearance of Leonard Grayson. The shadows of Blackthorn Hall were growing darker, and Poirot knew that the next revelation would bring them closer to the heart of the mystery, or to danger. Chapter 7. A Game of Motives. The library of Blackthorn Hall was a sanctuary of flickering lamplight and heavy silence, the storm outside a distant roar, as Hercule Poirot stood before the assembled guests. The discovery of the hidden cellar door, marked with the serpent and compass symbol, had cast a pall over the Order of the Silver Compass. Leonard Grayson's disappearance remained unsolved, and the air was thick with suspicion. Captain Hastings stood by the door, his notebook open, his eyes darting between the tense faces of the suspects. Poirot's voice, clear and precise, cut through the quiet. Messieurs et Mesdames, the disappearance of Mr. Grayson, the symbol on the altar, the hidden door, these are not isolated events. They are moves in a game of motives. And Hercule Poirot, he will uncover the players. Let us examine what drives each of you, yes? Lord Archibald Vance, slumped in an armchair, bristled. This is outrageous. You accuse us of playing games while Grayson's missing. I've had enough of your insinuations, Poirot. Poirot's moustache twitched. Insinuations, Lord Vance? No, I speak of facts. You have debts, n'est-ce pas? Rumors of financial ruin, whispered even in the halls of your club. The Order's mythical treasure. Would it not be a solution to your troubles? Vance's face turned puce. How dare you? My finances are my own concern. I've no need for fairy tales about gold. Dr. Evelyn Marwood, seated with her hands folded, raised an eyebrow. Yet you were quick to dismiss the treasure as a myth, Lord Vance, when it suits you. Curious, considering your eagerness to search the cellar earlier. Vance glared at her. And what of you, Doctor? You've made no secret of your ambition to reform the Order. A scandal like this could weaken Sir Reginald's authority, paving the way for your influence. Dr. Marwood's smile was icy. Influence, Lord Vance? Smile was icy. Influence, Lord Vance? I seek progress, not power. But I wonder about you, Captain Blake. She turned to the naval officer, who stood rigidly by the window. Your letter spoke of justice for a forgotten wrong. What grudge do you bear against the Order? Captain Rupert Blake's eyes darkened, his voice low and controlled. I've served the Order faithfully, Doctor. My past is no one's business. If I seek justice, it's for the dishonour done to this lodge, not some personal vendetta. Poirot tilted his head, his gaze piercing. C'est intéressant, Captain. Yet your letter suggests a personal connection to this forgotten wrong. Perhaps it is linked to Jonathan Carver, the disgraced mason whose name haunts this hall? Blake's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Poirot turned to Miss Clara Henshaw, who sat pale and trembling, her eyes fixed on the floor. And you, mademoiselle? Your note, beware the shadow, suggests someone fears for you, or fears you. As Sir Reginald's ward and an heiress, you are tied to the Order's trust, managed by Mr. Grayson. Did he confide in you, perhaps, about his fears? Clara's hands twisted in her lap. No, Mr. Poirot. Mr. Grayson was kind, but he never spoke of such things. I don't know why anyone would warn me. I'm no threat to anyone. Sir Reginald placed a protective hand on Clara's shoulder. She's an innocent in this, Poirot. Her inheritance is secure, and Grayson's role was purely administrative. Surely you don't suspect her? Poirot's smile was enigmatic. I suspect no one, Sir Reginald, and everyone. But let us consider Mr. Grayson. As solicitor, he had access to the Order's secrets, its accounts, and perhaps the journal of Sir Edmund Thornhill. Did he uncover something dangerous, something that led to his disappearance? Dr. Marwood's voice was sharp. If Grayson found something, he didn't share it with me. But he was nervous these past weeks, always looking over his shoulder. I thought it was the pressure of his duties. Or the pressure of a secret, Poirot said softly. He produced Sir Edmund's journal from his pocket, its leather cover glinting in the lamplight. This journal, it contains a cipher, a puzzle tied to the treasure and Jonathan Carver's betrayal. Grayson studied it, yes? Perhaps he deciphered something others wished to keep hidden. Lord Vance scoffed. A cipher? More nonsense. Grayson was a clerk, not a code-breaker. If he's gone, it's because he ran off with the Order's funds. Blake's voice was cold. Careful, Vance. Accusing a man who's not here to defend himself is low, even for you." Poirot raised a hand for silence. "I say, the motives, they are clear. Debt, ambition, justice, fear, and perhaps greed. But there is another motive, loyalty. Loyalty to the order or to a secret it guards. Hastings, what did you find in the cellar after our discovery of the door?" Hastings flipped open his notebook. "Not much, Poirot. The door's rusted shut, and we couldn't open it without tools. But there was something odd. Near the door, I found a scrap of paper, half burned, with the word Carver written on it." A murmur ran through the room. Clara gasped, and Sir Reginald's face paled. Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Voila, a link to the past. This paper, it is no coincidence. Someone in this house seeks to revive the scandal of Jonathan Carver, or to bury it forever." Dr. Marwood leaned forward. "And what of the chalk, Mr. Poirot? You keep mentioning it. Do you think it's the key?" Poirot's smile was faint. "The chalk, Doctor, is a thread that binds the symbol, the disappearance, and now this paper. It is common, yet deliberate. Someone uses it to mark their intent. But who?" As the group exchanged wary glances, a sudden crash echoed from the upper floors, followed by a muffled cry. Hastings leapt to his feet. "Good heavens, Poirot! What now?" Poirot's expression was grim. "The game, Hastings. It accelerates. To the source, quickly." The group rushed toward the sound, their footsteps echoing through the darkened corridors of Blackthorn Hall. Poirot's mind raced. The little grey cells piecing together the motives, the clues, and the shadows of a past that refused to stay buried. The disappearance of Grayson was only the beginning, and the next move in this deadly game was about to be revealed. Chapter 8. The Locked Room Enigma. The crash that had echoed through Blackthorn Hall sent the group racing up the grand staircase, their footsteps pounding against the polished wood. Hercule Poirot led the way, his small figure moving with surprising agility, his green eyes alight with focus. Captain Hastings followed close behind, his face a mix of alarm and determination, while the members of the Order of the Silver Compass, Sir Reginald Thornhill, Dr. Evelyn Marwood, Lord Archibald Vance, Captain Rupert Blake, and Miss Clara Henshaw, trailed in a tense cluster. The sound had come from the east wing, where the guest rooms were located. As they reached the corridor, Mrs. Dunley, the housekeeper, stood trembling outside a heavy oak door, her apron clutched in her hands. "It's Lord Vance's room," she cried. "I heard a crash, and then nothing. The door's locked, and he won't answer." Poirot's voice was calm but commanding. "Vite, Captain Blake, assist Hastings in breaking the door. We must act swiftly." Blake, with his naval strength, shouldered the door alongside Hastings. After several forceful blows, the lock splintered and the door swung open, revealing a chilling scene. Lord Archibald Vance lay sprawled across the floor of his room, his florid face frozen in a grimace, his Masonic apron crumpled beside him. A heavy candelabrum lay overturned nearby, its candles extinguished, and a faint smudge of chalk dust marked the floor near his outstretched hand. Clara gasped, turning away, while Sir Reginald's face strained of colour. "Good God!" he whispered. "Is he—" Dr. Marwood knelt beside Vance, her fingers probing for a pulse. After a moment, she looked up, her expression grim. "He's dead. No pulse, no breath, but there's no blood, no obvious wound. It could be his heart, or something else." Poirot's eyes swept the room, taking in every detail. The locked window, the undisturbed bed, the scattered papers on the desk. "Mon Dieu," he murmured. "A locked room, a dead man, and the chalk dust once more. This is no coincidence, mes amis. Hastings, confirm the window." Hastings crossed to the window, testing its latch. "Locked from the inside, Poirot. Just like Grayson's room. No one could have come in or out." Blake's voice was tight with anger. "Then how the devil did this happen? Vance was alive an hour ago, arguing with us in the library." Poirot knelt beside the body, his gloved fingers hovering over the chalk smudge. "The chalk, it is our constant companion. But observe, Doctor Marwood, Doctor Marwood. His hand, the fingers, they are clenched, as if grasping something." Dr. Marwood gently pried open Vance's hand, revealing a small crumpled scrap of paper. She unfolded it, her brow furrowing. "It's another symbol, the serpent and compass, drawn in ink this time." Poirot took the paper, his eyes narrowing. "Curieux. A symbol in his hand, yet no sign of a struggle. And the candelabrum, why is it fallen? Did Lord Vance knock it over in his final moments, or was it placed to suggest an accident?" Sir Reginald's voice trembled. "An accident? You think this was murder, Mr. Poirot?" Poirot rose, his expression grave. "I think, Sir Reginald, that nothing in Blackthorn Hall is as it seems. Lord Vance was a man with debts, with enemies. His death, it is a piece of the puzzle, but the picture is not yet clear." Clara, still pale, whispered, "First Mr. Grayson, now Lord Vance. Are we all in danger?" Captain Blake's hand rested on his hip, as if longing for a weapon. "If there's a killer among us, Poirot, you'd better find them fast. I won't stand by while we're picked off one by one." Dr. Marwood's voice was cool, almost detached. "Let's not leap to conclusions. Vance was not a young man, and his temper was notorious. A heart attack is plausible, especially under this strain." Poirot's smile was faint but piercing. "Plausible, Doctor, but convenient. A locked room, a dead man, and a symbol in his hand. These are not the hallmarks of a natural death. No, someone in this house plays a deadly game, and Hercule Poirot will uncover their hand." He turned to Mrs. Dunley, who lingered in the doorway, her eyes wide with fear. "Madame, you heard the crash. Was there anything else? Voices, footsteps?" The housekeeper shook her head. "Nothing, sir. Just the crash, like something heavy falling. I was in the corridor, checking the lamps. I ran to the door, but it was locked, and no one answered." Poirot nodded, his mind racing. "Bien. We must summon the local authorities, though I suspect they will find little that the little grey cells have not already seen. Hastings, assist Sir Reginald in telephoning the police. The rest of you remain in the drawing-room. No one is to leave this house." As the group dispersed, Poirot lingered in Vance's room, his gaze fixed on the chalk smudge and the inked symbol. Hastings returned, his face grim. "Police are on their way, Poirot, though this storm will slow them down. What do you make of it? 2 men gone, 1 missing, 1 dead. It's like something out of a nightmare." Poirot's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "A nightmare, Hastings, or a carefully woven trap. The locked room, it is a challenge to the intellect. But the little grey cells, they are not so easily deceived. Lord Vance's death is linked to Grayson's disappearance, to the journal, to the hidden door. The past and the present, they collide in this house." Outside the storm roared, and a faint creak echoed from the depths of Blackthorn Hall, as if the manor itself were guarding its secrets. Poirot's eyes gleamed. The enigma of the locked room had deepened the mystery, and the shadows were closing in. Chapter 9. The Cipher Unravelled. The library of Blackthorn Hall was a fortress of silence, its heavy air broken only by the distant rumble of the storm outside. Hercule Poirot sat at a polished oak table, Sir Edmund Thornhill's leather-bound journal open before him, its cryptic pages bathed in the glow of a single lamp. Captain Hastings stood nearby, peering over Poirot's shoulder, his face a mix of curiosity and impatience. "I say, Poirot," Hastings said, gesturing at the journal's jumble of numbers and symbols. "It looks like pure gibberish. Are you sure there's anything to it? With Vance dead and Grayson still missing, shouldn't we be searching the house again?" Poirot's moustache twitched, his green eyes gleaming with focus. "Patience, mon ami. The house, it hides its secrets well, but this journal, it is the key. The serpent and compass symbol, it appears on the altar, in Vance's hand, on the cellar door, and here, in Sir Edmund's own hand. It is no coincidence. The little grey cells, they are close to unravelling its meaning." The remaining members of the Order of the Silver Compass, Sir Reginald Thornhill, Dr. Evelyn Marwood, Captain Rupert Blake, and Miss Clara Henshaw, gathered in the library, their faces drawn with exhaustion and fear. The local police had been delayed by the storm, leaving Poirot to press forward with his investigation. The locked-room death of Lord Vance and the disappearance of Leonard Grayson hung over them like a dark cloud. Poirot turned a page in the journal, revealing a detailed drawing of the serpent and compass symbol, accompanied by a sequence of numbers, 37129. Below it, in Sir Edmund's elegant script, was a single line: "The serpent guards the path to the heart of the order." "Voila," Poirot said softly, tapping the page. "This is no mere decoration. It is a cipher, a guide to the treasure of which the legends speak. Sir Reginald, you said the treasure was hidden by your great-grandfather, protected by a cipher known only to the masters. This journal, it holds that cipher." Sir Reginald's brow furrowed. "But I've never seen this page before, Mr. Poirot." Grayson studied the journal, but he said it was meaningless. "If it's a cipher, what does it unlock?" Poirot's smile was faint. "That, Sir Reginald, is what we shall discover. The numbers, 37129, they are a sequence, perhaps a code to a location within Blackthorn Hall. And the serpent, it is a symbol of guardianship, of wisdom, but also of deceit. It suggests the treasure is both protected and perilous." Dr. Marwood leaned forward, her sharp eyes fixed on the journal. "A location? You think the cipher points to the cellar door we found? The symbol was etched there, after all." "C'est possible," Poirot replied. "But we must consider the context. The cipher is tied to Jonathan Carver's betrayal, yes. A man accused of stealing from the Order, who vanished without a trace. His name appears on a burned scrap of paper near the cellar door. This suggests the cipher may reveal not only the treasure, but the truth of his fate." Captain Blake's voice was gruff. "Carver was a traitor, struck from our records. Why does his name keep resurfacing? Someone's using his story to stir trouble." Clara's voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Mr. Poirot, could the cipher be dangerous? If Mr. Grayson deciphered it, maybe that's why he's gone. And Lord Vance." Her voice faltered, her eyes brimming with tears. Poirot's gaze softened. "Fear not, mademoiselle. The cipher is a puzzle, and Hercule Poirot is no stranger to puzzles. But you are correct. Knowledge can be dangerous, especially when it threatens secrets long buried." He turned back to the journal, his fingers tracing the numbers. "Let us test a theory. The numbers 37129 may correspond to something tangible. Pages, steps, or perhaps stones. The cellar door. It is a logical place to begin. Sir Reginald, you said it was rusted shut. Has anyone attempted to open it since its discovery?" Sir Reginald shook his head. "No, Mr. Poirot. It's too heavy, and we've no tools suitable in the house. But there's a mason's mark on the door frame, A small carving I hadn't noticed before. It's faint, but it matches the serpent symbol." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Excellent. A mark, a door, a cipher, all linked. We must return to the cellar. But first, let us consider the motives once more. Dr. Marwood, your letter spoke of the serpent seeing all. Captain Blake, yours of justice for a forgotten wrong. Miss Henshaw's note warned of a shadow. And Lord Vance, he held a symbol in his hand at death. These are not random. They are messages tailored to each of you." Blake's jaw tightened. "You think someone knows our secrets? That's why Vance was killed?" "Précisément," Poirot said. "Lord Vance's death, it was no heart attack, despite appearances. The locked room, the symbol, the chalk dust, they suggest a mind both cunning and desperate. And Mr. Grayson's disappearance, it is no coincidence. He knew something, perhaps the cipher's secret." Dr. Marwood's voice was cool. "If Grayson deciphered it, he might have tried to claim the treasure for himself. Or someone stopped him before he could." Poirot nodded. "A possibility, Doctor. But the treasure, it is not only gold and jewels. It is power, influence, the heart of the order, and someone seeks to control it." As the group prepared to return to the cellar, a faint thud echoed from the upper floors, followed by a low, eerie creak. Hastings glanced at Poirot, his face pale. "Not again, Poirot. This house is giving me the creeps." Poirot's expression was resolute. "The house, Hastings, it speaks to us. The cipher, it is unravelling, and with it, the truth. To the cellar, mes amis. The heart of the mystery awaits." As they descended the narrow stair, the serpent and compass symbol seemed to loom larger in Poirot's mind, its coils tightening around the secrets of Blackthorn Hall. The shadows were shifting, and the little grey cells were closer than ever to piercing their veil. Chapter 10. The Confrontation. The great chamber of Blackthorn Hall was a cavern of flickering shadows, its high windows rattling under the storm's relentless assault. The members of the Order of the Silver Compass, Sir Reginald Thornhill, Dr. Evelyn Marwood, Captain Rupert Blake, and Miss Clara Henshaw, stood in a tense semicircle around the massive oak table, their faces illuminated by the chandelier's dim glow. Hercule Poirot stood at the head, his small figure commanding. Sir Edmund Thornhill's journal open before him. Captain Hastings hovered near the door, his notebook clutched tightly, his eyes darting between the suspects. "Messieurs et mesdames," Poirot began, his voice clear and resonant, "we have reached a crossroads in this affair. Mr. Grayson is missing, Lord Vance is dead, and the serpent and compass symbol haunts us at every turn. The cipher, the hidden door, the letters, they are pieces of a puzzle, and Hercule Poirot has begun to assemble them. Tonight we shall confront the truth." Sir Reginald's hands trembled. "The truth, Mr. Poirot? Do you mean you know who's behind this madness?" Poirot's moustache twitched. "I know much, Sir Reginald, but not all. The little grey cells, they have woven a tapestry, but one thread remains loose. Let us review the facts, yes?" He paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. "First, the symbol on the altar, drawn in chalk during a locked ritual. Then Mr. Grayson's disappearance, with chalk dust in his room. Lord Vance's death in a locked room, a symbol in his hand. The hidden cellar door, marked with the same serpent and compass. And the journal of Sir Edmund Thornhill, containing a cipher, 37129, that points to a treasure and a scandal involving Jonathan Carver." Dr. Marwood's voice was sharp. "You've said all this before, Mr. Poirot. What's your point? Do you accuse one of us?" Poirot's eyes gleamed. Patience, Doctor. The point, it is this. Each of you has a motive. Lord Vance had debts, perhaps desperate enough to seek the treasure. His death, it was no heart attack. The candelabrum, it was staged to suggest an accident. Mr. Grayson, as solicitor, knew of discrepancies in the order's trust. His curiosity about the cipher may have led to his vanishing. Clara's voice trembled. But why, Mr. Poirot? Why would anyone harm them? Poirot turned to her, his gaze softening. Mademoiselle, it is because the treasure is not merely gold. It is power. The order's wealth, its influence, is tied to your inheritance, managed by Mr. Grayson. Someone seeks to control it, or to prevent its discovery. Captain Blake's jaw tightened. Get to it, Poirot. You think one of us killed Vance and took Grayson? Name your suspect. Poirot raised a hand. Assez. Let us consider the letters. Dr. Marwood, yours spoke of the serpent seeing all, a warning of exposure. Captain Blake, yours demanded justice for a forgotten wrong, tied to Jonathan Carver. Miss Henshaw, your note, beware the shadow, suggests protection or fear. Sir Reginald, you claim no letter, yet you invited me here, sensing a threat. Why? Sir Reginald's face paled. I told you, Mr. Poirot, the letters to the others, the discord in the order. I feared for our unity. Or for your secrets, Poirot said softly. The cipher, it points to the cellar door. The numbers 3, 7, 12, 9 may indicate steps, stones, or a sequence. But the mason's mark on the doorframe, it is the key. It suggests a mechanism, a hidden passage. And Jonathan Carver, his disgrace, his disappearance, it is no coincidence that his name appears on a burned scrap of paper. Dr. Marwood's eyes narrowed. You're suggesting Carver's fate is linked to this, that someone's repeating history. Précisément, Poirot said. Carver was accused of stealing the treasure, but what if he was silenced to protect it? What if the true betrayer was another, and the treasure remains hidden in Blackthorn Hall? Blake stepped forward, his voice low. If you're right, Poirot, then Grayson found something, maybe the cipher's solution, and someone stopped him. Poirot nodded, and Lord Vance, he knew too much, or was a threat. The locked room, it is a clever trick. The chalk dust, the symbol, they are distractions meant to confuse. But Hercule Poirot is not so easily misled. Clara's eyes widened. You know who did it, don't you? Poirot's smile was enigmatic. I know the shape of the truth, mademoiselle. But to reveal it, we must return to the cellar. The door, it holds the answer. Sir Reginald, fetch the tools to open it. The time for secrets is over. As Sir Reginald hesitated, a sudden thud echoed from below, deep within the house. Hastings started. Good Lord, Poirot, the cellar again. Poirot's expression was grim. The shadows, Hastings, they move to the cellar, mes amis. The confrontation is not yet complete. The group descended the narrow stair, their torches casting eerie light on the stone walls. The rusted iron door loomed ahead, its serpent and compass symbol glinting faintly. Poirot's hand rested on the mason's mark, his mind racing. The cipher was unraveling, the motives were clear, but the final piece, the orchestrator of this deadly game, was about to be revealed. Chapter 11. The Final Twist. The cellar of Blackthorn Hall was a crypt of shadows, its damp air heavy with the weight of secrets. The rusted iron door, etched with the serpent and compass symbol, stood before Hercule Poirot and the remaining members of the Order of the Silver Compass. Sir Reginald Thornhill, Dr. Evelyn Marwood, Captain Rupert Blake, and Miss Clara Henshaw. Captain Hastings clutched a torch, its flickering light illuminating the mason's mark on the doorframe. Sir Reginald, tools in hand, worked to pry open the door, his face taut with apprehension. "Vite, Sir Reginald," Poirot urged, his voice calm but insistent. "The cipher, 37129, it has led us here. The door, it hides the heart of this mystery." The door groaned as Sir Reginald's crowbar forced it open, revealing a narrow passage descending into darkness. A musty draught wafted out, carrying the faint scent of chalk. Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Voila! The path to the truth. Follow me, mes amis." The group descended cautiously, their torches casting eerie shapes on the rough-hewn walls. At the passage's end was a small chamber, its floor paved with numbered stones, 3, 7, 12, and 9 among them. In the center stood a stone pedestal, and on it a small iron box, its lid engraved with the serpent and compass symbol. Hastings whistled. "The treasure, Poirot. Is this it?" Poirot approached the box, his fingers tracing its surface. "Perhaps, Hastings, but the treasure, it is not only gold, it is knowledge, power, and betrayal." He turned to the group, his gaze piercing. "The time has come to reveal the orchestrator of this affair, the little grey cells they have seen through the shadows." Dr. Marwood's voice was sharp. "Enough theatrics, Mr. Poirot. Who is responsible for Grayson's disappearance and Vance's death?" Poirot's moustache twitched. "To answer, we must return to the beginning. The symbol, the letters, the cipher. They are not random. They are a performance, staged to conceal a greater truth. And the key lies with Jonathan Carver, the mason accused of betrayal a century ago." Captain Blake's eyes narrowed. "Carver again? He's long dead, Poirot. How can he matter now?" "Précisément, Captain," Poirot said. "Carver was no traitor. He was silenced, not for stealing the treasure, but for discovering a secret the Order wished to hide. The journal, the cipher, they point to this chamber, but also to a truth about the Order's founding. Sir Reginald, you are the master. What do you know of this?" Sir Reginald's hands shook. I've told you all I know. Carver's disgrace, the treasure's legend, its history, nothing more." Poirot's voice was soft but relentless. "History, Sir Reginald, that someone has revived. The letters, the symbol, they mimic Carver's story. And Mr. Grayson, he was close to uncovering it. His disappearance, it was no kidnapping. He's here, in this house, alive." A gasp rippled through the group. Zara's eyes widened. "Alive? But where, Mr. Poirot?" Poirot gestured to the box. "The cipher, 37129, corresponds to these stones. Press them in sequence, and the box opens." He knelt, pressing the numbered stones in order. With a click, the box sprang open, revealing not gold, but a bundle of papers, letters, ledgers, and a single photograph of a young man, his face strikingly similar to Captain Blake's. Blake's jaw dropped. "What is this? That's my grandfather's face." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Exactement, Captain Blake. Your grandfather was Jonathan Carver's son, disgraced and exiled. You joined the Order to seek justice, yes? Your letter spoke of a forgotten wrong. You knew of Carver's innocence and sought the truth." Blake's voice was hoarse. "I suspected, but I had no proof. I thought Grayson might have found it in the journal." "And he did," Poirot said. "But someone else knew. Someone who staged this drama to protect the Order's secret. Lord Vance's death, it was murder, poison, administered through his brandy, the candelabrum staged to suggest a fall, the locked room, a trick of timing, and Grayson's disappearance, a ruse to draw suspicion." Dr. Marwood's face paled. "A ruse? You mean Grayson orchestrated this?" Poirot turned to the shadows. "Come forward, Mr. Grayson. The game is over." From the darkness of the passage, Leonard Grayson emerged, his wiry frame trembling, his spectacles glinting. Clara cried out, and Sir Reginald staggered back. "Grayson, you're alive!" Poirot's voice was cold. "Alive, and the architect of this affair. You, Mr. Grayson, deciphered the cipher, found this chamber, and learned the truth. The Order's founders, including Sir Edmund Thornhill, framed Jonathan Carver to conceal their own embezzlement. You staged your disappearance, drew the symbols, sent the letters, all to expose the Order's shame and claim the treasure for yourself." Grayson's voice was defiant. "They deserved it. The Order's built on lies. I found proof, ledgers showing Sir Edmund's theft. I wanted justice, and the treasure to rebuild my life." Poirot shook his head. "Justice or greed? You poisoned Lord Vance, who suspected your plan. You used the chalk to mimic Carver's symbol, sowing fear, but you underestimated Hercule Poirot." Clara's voice was a whisper. "But my note, beware the shadow." Poirot's gaze softened. "A warning from someone who cared for you, mademoiselle. Mrs. Dunley, the housekeeper, saw Grayson's movements and feared for you, knowing your inheritance was at risk." Grayson's shoulders slumped, his defiance crumbling. I never meant for it to go this far." Poirot's voice was firm. "It went too far, Mr. Grayson. You have blood on your hands." He turned to Blake. "Captain, your grandfather's name is cleared. The treasure, it is these papers. Proof of the Order's past, more valuable than gold." As the group stood stunned, the storm outside seemed to quiet, as if Blackthorn Hall itself exhaled. The truth had been revealed, but the final act of justice remained. Chapter 12. The Resolution. The cellar chamber of Blackthorn Hall was silent, save for the faint drip of water echoing in the darkness. The iron box, its lid open to reveal the damning papers of the Order of the Silver Compass, sat on the stone pedestal like a silent witness to a century of secrets. Hercule Poirot stood before it, his small figure radiating authority. As the stunned group, Sir Reginald Thornhill, Dr. Evelyn Marwood, Captain Rupert Blake, Miss Clara Henshaw, and the newly revealed Leonard Grayson grappled with the truth of his accusations. Captain Hastings, torch in hand, broke the silence. "Good heavens, Poirot! Grayson, behind it all? Poisoning Vance, staging his own disappearance. It's diabolical." Poirot's green eyes gleamed in the torchlight. "Précisément, Hastings. Mr. Grayson wove a web of deceit, using the serpent and compass symbol to evoke the past, to sow fear, and to mask his true intent, to expose the Order's shame and claim its hidden wealth. But the little grey cells, they see through such webs." Grayson, his wiry frame slumped against the wall, glared defiantly. "I had every right. The Order's built on lies. Sir Edmund Thornhill and his cronies framed Jonathan Carver, my ancestor's friend, to cover their theft. Those papers," he gestured to the box, "prove it. Ledgers, letters, a confession. I wanted justice, and the treasure to start anew." Sir Reginald's voice was hoarse. "Justice? You murdered Lord Vance, and you terrified us all. Clara, the Order, everyone. How could you?" Grayson's eyes flickered with regret, but his tone remained sharp. "Vance was a liability. He suspected I'd found the cipher's solution. He'd have exposed me to protect his own interests. I slipped cyanide into his brandy during dinner. The locked room was simple. I left the room after he collapsed, locking it behind me with the master key I'd taken from your study." Dr. Marwood's face was a mask of cold disdain. "And the candelabrum, the symbol in his hand?" "A distraction," Grayson admitted. "I knocked over the candelabrum to suggest an accident, and placed the inked symbol to tie it to the altar's defilement." I wanted you all to fear the past was resurfacing." Poirot nodded, his voice calm but unrelenting. "And your disappearance, Mr. Grayson. You hid in the hidden passage, accessible through the cellar door, waiting for the moment to reveal your findings. The chalk dust, it was your signature. A careless one, I might add, for it linked every scene." Clara, her eyes brimming with tears, stepped forward. "But why involve me, Mr. Grayson? My note, 'Beware the shadow,' you said Mrs. Dunley left it. Was I in danger?" Poirot's gaze softened. "Mademoiselle, you were never in danger, but you were a pawn. Mrs. Dunley, loyal to Sir Reginald and fond of you, saw Grayson's suspicious movements. She left the note to warn you, fearing he might manipulate your inheritance. Grayson used your presence to heighten the Order's fear, knowing your fortune is tied to their trust." Captain Blake's voice was low, almost a growl. "And my grandfather, Jonathan Carver's son. You used his name, Grayson, to drag my family's pain into this." Grayson's defiance wavered. I found records linking your grandfather to Carver. I thought you'd support me, Blake, once you knew the truth. The Order ruined your family too." Blake's fists clenched, but he said nothing. Poirot turned to the group, his hands clasped behind his back. "The truth, it is now clear. The treasure is these papers, proof of the Order's founding sin. Sir Edmund and his allies embezzled funds, framing Carver to protect their legacy. The cipher, 37129, led to this chamber, where the evidence was hidden. Grayson sought to expose this, but his greed and vengeance led to murder." Sir Reginald's shoulders sagged. "What now, Mr. Poirot? The Order, it's tainted. My family's name ruined." Poirot's voice was firm. "The Order, Sir Reginald, must face its past. The papers will be turned over to the authorities, and the truth about Carver will be restored. As for your family, it is not ruined. Honesty, it is the path to redemption." As the group absorbed his words, the distant wail of sirens pierced the storm's roar. The police had finally arrived. Poirot addressed Grayson. "You, monsieur, will answer for Lord Vance's murder and the terror you inflicted. The little grey cells, they do not forgive such crimes." Grayson hung his head as Blake and Hastings escorted him up the cellar stair, where the police awaited. Dr. Marwood lingered, her voice quiet. "You've saved the Order, Mr. Poirot, but at what cost? We're fractured now." Poirot's smile was faint. "A fracture, Doctor, allows healing. The Order will reform, or it will fade. That is for you to decide." Clara approached, her face resolute despite her tears. "Thank you, Mr. Poirot. For me, for the truth. I'll ensure my inheritance is used for good, to honor what the Order should have been." Poirot bowed slightly. "Mademoiselle, your heart is the true treasure of Blackthorn Hall." As the group emerged into the great hall, the storm outside began to subside, its fury spent. The police took Grayson into custody, and the papers were secured for investigation. Poirot and Hastings prepared to depart, the mystery resolved. In the Rolls-Royce back to the station, Hastings leaned back, exhaling. "Well, Poirot, you've done it again. Cleared Carver's name, caught a killer, and saved young Clara's future. Quite a night's work." Poirot's eyes twinkled. "The little grey cells, Hastings, they are never idle. The shadows of Blackthorn Hall are lifted, and justice, it is served." As the manor faded into the misty dawn, Blackthorn Hall stood silent, its secrets laid bare. The Order of the Silver Compass would never be the same, but in the light of truth it had a chance to begin anew.